sure we're live in both places. All right. Like I said, a little bit of a different stream today. I am going to be interviewing local designer Travis Deere about his game that is about to hit retail.
It's coming out and hitting the shelves April 26th.
April 26th. And that game is Paper Trail.
All right, Paper Trail.
I have played this. I think I played the final version.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fun. It's a great, neat little hidden movement game. You want to tell us a little bit more about the game itself?
Yeah, so you are sneaky students that are trying to pass notes in class. You're in the 7th grade. And the teacher
I didn't realize you had a specific grade in mind.
Oh, yeah, it's history class.
Okay.
I'm a teacher, so.
Okay.
And you are trying to catch the students in the act as they pass notes across the classroom. So the classroom is the board map, and then you're trying to get the note from this student, point A, to point B over here. So.
And one person plays the teacher, and everyone else plays the students?
Yeah, so it's kind of a hidden movement in reverse. Instead of everyone trying to find one person, it's one person trying to find everyone else. So when you think of traditional games, you think of hide and seek. Well, one person's trying to find everyone else. So it's a hide and seek game.
Yeah. It's a great theme that maps onto your mechanics perfectly, I think, honestly. So you said you're a teacher. Is that how you came up with this idea?
Yeah, I had come up with a teacher game before, and I kind of got the idea to have desks involved, and kind of the classroom is the map. But then this game I wanted to make hidden movement, and I wanted to make a pathing game. So the first thing I did was build the map in different ways and try different classroom layouts, I guess you'd call it.
It's upside down.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay. Do we want to look at some of the components here real
Sure.
quick?
A little unboxing.
Yeah.
These are the screens. Rule book.
So these are so the other folks can't see what you're doing, obviously.
Yeah.
And they also have some nice rule reminders on here as well.
Yeah, I tried to make it as simple as possible for the viewers so they can have everything right in front of them. And then this acts like a trapper keeper, so if you just splay it out like that. Yeah, for the people, imagine this is your desk, and you're taking a test, and then the board goes inside here, and this is the classroom that's actually in there, so it goes like this. And it hides everything, but you've got everything that you need to play the game actually on the screen.
Okay, and so here's our classroom layout. So you are passing notes to these different kids, crossing into these different zones, and that's sort of how the teacher is trying to figure out where you're at, is because everything's divided up into these different zones, so they can try to kind of guess, someone's in a purple zone or a yellow zone or like that.
So like the heart of the game are these cards. This note is going from Randall's desk to Aiden. If you complete that, you score 9 points. If the student completes 3 of these, they win the game. So super simple objective. Meanwhile, the teacher is trying to confiscate this note. They're trying to confiscate at least 4 or 5 of them, depending on player count. And they win the game if they do that. So it's logic and deduction for the teacher, or for the teacher on this chalkboard. And then it's sneaking and moving around, kind of a push your luck stealth game for the students.
Yeah, because and again, correct me when I get any of this wrong, but I do remember from playing this, you move relatively slowly. You can move faster, but in that case, you might make noise.
Yeah, the faster you go, the more clues you're going to give the teacher.
Yeah, you might give away your position if you try to move too fast.
Yeah. So this is the public teacher board. It's the same exact classroom, but it's it's a public board. Everyone can see this, and this is what the teacher's using. They've got Expo markers, dry erase, and the teacher is going to be it's kind of a new gamer battleship mechanic. So if you love the game Battleship, this is like Battleship for gamers. You take that concept and you add deduction, logic, all that stuff to it. So for example, if we wanted to guess this desk, we would put a question mark on Parker, and we're trying to guess where the notes are. If you get a hit, just like in Battleship, you sunk my battleship or hit. If you hit the blue player, you put a
Hush.
blue
Sorry.
question mark like
Our
that.
puppy has thoughts. Okay. And that's telling you that they were there at some point?
Yeah, the game's called Paper Trail.
Yeah.
So you're trying to find their trail, and eventually you're going to accuse a specific desk. So you're using these zones, you're using this trail of colors, very intensive color game. And then you're trying to, at the end of it, accuse a student and actually say, okay, your note is on Jenny's desk. If it is on Jenny's desk, I'm going to pluck it from her and confiscate the note.
Nice. And I like that you've got some symbols in these as well for color blindness, I assume.
Yep. But it's based on indirect clues, so the game kind of gives the teacher a bunch of small clues so that they can kind of piece together the parts and find players. But it's really tough. I made the teacher roll tough. It's a moving target. You know, if the note is at Jenny's desk right now at this turn, next turn, if they move it, you gotta, keep kind of deducing where it's at. So it's this moving target. And eventually it's gonna get to point B. You're gonna actually complete the note. We're gonna read it out loud, and that trail is gone cold, just like in a deduction case.
So is this the sort of situation you run into these games every now and then where you want to take maybe your best player and have them be the teacher?
Yeah, this is kind of where it's family game. The box says 14 and up, but it's really 11, 12-year-olds that are in gaming families can play. Adults, any adult can play, and you kind of want your gamer to be the teacher first. If you only have one in your group, the person that teaches every time, that kind of thing. But once you know how to play the game, anyone can be teacher, and anyone can be student, and there's just different. They're different, completely different roles, complete asymmetry.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Neat. So how do you, given the fact that the roles are so different, how did you go about balancing this so that it, that everyone does actually have a chance?
Yeah, it was tough because the main balancing things are how big do I make the board? Like in a standard public school classroom, you'll have anywhere from 25 to 35 students, hopefully not that many. But this board actually has a realistic number of desks, realistic number of students on it. And then you're trying to create choke points. I tried to make different shapes with these zones. So you'll see like this zone is huge. So if you get a clue in purple, it's harder than if you get a clue in, let's say, gray, this small zone. And then the throw lines are dangerous. The middle is dangerous in different ways. All these zones kind of have their own identity to them. But yeah, this was the hardest part. Was I wanted to make a pathing game, and I wanted to make a hidden movement game. All the old school hidden movement games are this gridded line of sight thing. I didn't want to make a gridded line of sight game. I wanted to make something a little more freeform. So that's how I came up with this pathing idea, this zone idea, and then the actual battleship mechanic.
Okay. So is there anything else we want to cover about the game here while we've got it out?
Yeah, as far as the aesthetic and the look, I was going for that 90s, 2000s doodle vibe. So if you look at these cards, they're all, the backs of them are all like that composition notebook that you had in school.
Yeah.
Everything is kind of chalkboardy or pen doodly, kind of that 2000s clip arty style.
Yeah, I should have asked you this before. Being that you are a teacher, do they still make these?
Yeah, they do. They're like a staple of American culture.
Okay.
I feel like everyone knows that.
Oh, absolutely.
Design, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then that's like dirty whiteboard versus chalkboard.
Okay.
The teacher's got its own identity aesthetically, and the students all have their mischievous type of aesthetic.
The art is very fitting. Did you hire someone for art, or how did you handle that?
So I did the design, the artwork, the publishing, the shipping, the kickstarting, marketing, all that. I've done everything on my own except playtesters. Couldn't do it without my playtesters, for sure. But it has been a labor of love, and it's kind of my, my project. So.
Yeah, I mean,
now my product.
I knew you'd done most of it. I didn't realize you had also done the art for all of it.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Cosmic. Yeah, the theme makes this thing pop out for sure. The first time I sat down and played it, I don't think I had heard people talk about it at like our local game night.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think I realized that's what this was when I sat down to play it the first time.
Yeah.
And it really, it's a really nice joining of theme and mechanic there.
I'm basically theme first on everything I do. All my designs are kind of theme centric, or if I have a game mechanic and if I make a game based on the mechanics first, sometimes I don't ever find a theme for it, so I just don't make that game. Like, I don't follow through into the next step of that game, because if the theme isn't really dripping from the game, I don't think it's worth it to go to the next level of, yeah, you can make the prototype, but those next stages, I want the theme to be really tied to it to make those games.
Theme is important, and frankly, I think sometimes designers tend to underestimate how important, to be honest with you. What's next for Lime Green Game?
What's next for Lime Green Games? I've got two different ideas. One's called The Dark Forest. It is a search and destroy game, sci-fi. It's based on Fermi's paradox. So that idea of, why don't we see aliens? Well, it's because they're hiding. They don't want to let their presence be known. So it's another hidden movement game that I'm working on there. And then I'm working on a mermaid game called Coral Castle, which is card drafting and moving up tracks. And it's just, I kind of focus on these 30 to 45 minute games, family weight games.
Okay. Any progress on juggling?
No, I haven't given up on the juggling game, but
oh, I didn't think you had.
It's still early.
Yeah.
So.
How did you get into board games initially?
Well,
was this a kid thing or like a?
I've kind of been into games my whole life, video games, sports, all that, and board games were a big part of my high school friend group. Just those Risk, Settlers, those classic games, and then I was actually designing in high school very, very bad games that were like, my first game I made was based on Risk, and it was way too similar to Risk. It was just like a worse version of Risk that I made, and I did a couple of those through college, and then it really kicked off about 2.5 years ago. So
okay,
I kind of had a hiatus in college and came back to the idea. So.
Okay. So you clearly like hidden movement games.
Yeah.
What is your favorite hidden movement game? That is not designed by you.
I think right now it's Fury of Dracula. And I guess that was when it clicked for me, where something like Scotland Yard's got that line of sight and that gridded mechanic. they took it to, this is the map of Europe, and it just creates so much more dynamics in a hidden movement game when they don't have just straight lines to go to. There's this free form, and so when I was making this map, I kind of had that Fury of Dracula in mind. So
I can see that. It's bananas that you get from Fury of Dracula to this, but
the mechanics
I know.
hidden underneath.
Yeah, I mean, I tell people all the time, Heisenberger started out as a card game about a time-traveling wizard.
There you go.
So, I mean, you
Theme
just...
is wild.
Yeah, you just never know.
Yeah.
Jaws and Mind Management.
Mind Management's great.
Yeah, I've heard great
It's
things
amazing.
about Mind Management. Jaws, also, I think, pretty great.
Yeah. I actually came up with I kind of stole Mind Management's idea of the shift mechanic that they have. So in this game, you can play as different teachers. So like this is a difficulty 2 teacher, and this is difficulty 5. So one of the hardest things to balance was making the teacher actually not too easy and not too hard. And so I made it difficult so that they don't win more than like 33 to 25% of the time. And then the other thing is, if you really have too difficult of a time, you can make the teacher easier or harder. And that shift mechanic comes from Mind Management. So that idea.
Okay.
Maybe it comes from other places, but
Yeah, I mean, that's...
Yeah.
I defy you to find someone who originated
Right.
a mechanic entirely.
Right.
I know they get close, but hey, Bowhunter, we're good. Talking to my friend Travis Deere here, local game designer, about his game Paper Trail, which is hitting stores April 26th.
Yeah, it's going to be in over 100 stores so far. I'm snowballing through the spring and the summer to get more and more.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, because we both went to Gamma together, and I know you were talking to a lot of distributors while you were up there.
Yeah.
We say it's going to be in stores. Like, do you have an idea of where, sort of, at this point?
It's in all major distribution, so any of the board game stores that are local or in your area, they have the ability to get it. Some of them will have it, but most likely you'll have to kind of go through them and, hey, there's this new game. By the fall, if things snowball and really take off, hopefully it will be in every store. But right now it's in, over 100 stores, and my Kickstarter are already fulfilled. So it's already being played out there. It's already, on the market. The internet places like Boardlandia and those kind of places, they have it. So
Okay, yeah.
you can find it on the internet.
Cosmic just said their FLGS in Canada has it up for pre-order.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
And I have it on my website. So if you ever want to buy direct, it's limegreengames.com. So I sell it on there as well. So trying to just hit every market.
So, what are you playing right now?
Right now?
Like, what's on your table frequently right now?
I'm playing Raising Robots tomorrow night. Pretty excited. It's a little engine builder.
Okay.
And I played Hansa Teutonica last week. Super fun game.
Okay.
Super good Euro.
That one I've heard of. I have not heard of Raising Robots.
Yeah. So I have a game group that goes every Tuesday, and we literally play almost a new game every week. Sometimes 2. Sometimes we'll repeat. Obviously, you want to repeat some, but we play a lot of games. Over the past year, I've probably played like 200 different games.
Jeez.
Thursday nights as well.
Yeah.
At the Chattanooga bar.
Yeah.
So I'm gaming all the time. So. Yeah.
Okay. What advice would you give to folks who are thinking about picking up game design?
It's a super fun thing. It's really tough to do everything. So, when I say this was a labor of love, this was like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours to do. Some of the skills I had to learn on the job. For example, I'm not an artist, so that was a difficult task for me to to get through was the art. A lot of the programs that you have to use can be difficult to learn, all that stuff. So
Sure. I mean,
focus on one thing. If you want to do game design, start on that and go from there. So.
Yeah, I mean, I am an artist, and I can say the thought of trying to learn Adobe from scratch today would be terrifying.
Yeah, I already had some small experience with Adobe and Photoshop and all that, but yeah, you got to get back into it and really learn the programs and all that. So
yeah, well, I think a thing we both heard a lot, at Gamma and other places. There are basically two paths you can take, right? You can pitch your game to publishers, or you can self-publish. And what most people will tell you is, if you want to run a small business, if you want to have your own business that you run, that's the self-publishing route, right?
Yeah.
If you just want to design games, maybe think about pitching.
And I do that too. I'll be in Proto Atlanta and Proto Knoxville over the next month, and I'll be pitching games to the ops and 25th Century and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I'm always trying to do both at once. Yeah, that's another piece of advice. I wouldn't stick to just one game design. I like to have multiple projects going at once. You can really drive yourself crazy trying to bang your head against one the whole time. If you're 6 months into game design, and you're still on one game, keep that game going. Don't quit it, but branch out into that second and third game. So.
Yeah, I would agree with that for sure. That does make me ask a question for my own edification, though. I've found that you can go too far. I feel like about 3 that I'm actively working on is about the limit before you start losing.
Three's my good spot, and I start to shelve things, and I'll pick them. Sometimes I'll shelf it and then take it back out, kind of thing. Rotate if you can kind of crack the next part of it. Sometimes you'll get stuck and you just have to shelve it for a while. Sometimes forever. So.
No, I get that, but I definitely that 4th game. I can feel I can't hold that many mechanics at once,
So when I made this game, this wasn't my first design. This is probably my 6th, and now I have about 15 total. So I'm still young in the hobby in terms of that. There's people with 50 out there, but.
Neither one of us are Reiner Knizia.
Yeah, those first 3 games I made were just so bad, and then those 4th and 5th games, they had some traction to it, and then I made this, and I really felt, okay, this is worth it. Let me actually go for the dream here and publish it. So I believed in the game, and that's why it got published. If you don't believe in your own game,
yeah, no, very cool.
Move to the next one. So.
Okay. Well, there you go. Paper Trail, April 26th.
April 26th, and it's already out on my website.
Hitting an FLGS near you, or go to
limegreengames.com.
There you go. And pick up a copy. Like I said, I have played it. It's fun. I wouldn't have invited Travis on here if I thought his game sucked. I legitimately don't. It is a fun game, I promise. But that's it. limegreengames.com.
Yep.
Paper Trail.
Yep.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
We will see you soon. Let's stop this. And this is going to be weird for the folks watching us.
We're dual wielding.
Yes, we are.